Here's a great example and seems to be a well-preserved specimen of the Pentium III era. This custom white box build right here. You can see the interesting design on the front of this. You can also notice that there is absolutely no yellowing whatsoever on this case. It is pretty much flawless, actually. With some light scratches on the top that the camera can't really pick up, but they're there. There's one tiny little one right here. And I think there's another one right about here. On the front of this case you can see the nice Intel Pentium III logo right there, centered pretty nicely inside of that square. On the side of this case you can see it's got some feet at the bottom there. And it's also got this very interesting grill pattern on the side of it, which is also present on the opposite door as well. And whoever built this decided to put the I/O sticker on the side of the case to tell the person what the ports were, which is pretty nice actually. I think that was a really good idea and something that I think would help a lot of people even nowadays. On the back side we can see things that we're all familiar with here. We got a PCI sound card, a modem, it's got an Ethernet card. This has a PCM-CIA adapter installed in it right there, and it's actually a Dell wireless card that's installed. HEP graphics card. You've got your usual plethora of I/O ports there. You can also see something curious here. It's got the same kind of status lights on the back of it that you'd find on Dell computers. And the fans on this thing are actually in, they seem to be in tip-top shape to me. You can hear they're not making any kind of unusual noise, they're just humming right along like they should be. I think this computer was built about the year 2000, judging from the hardware that's inside of this thing. So this is a really nice example of a machine that hasn't been upgraded since it was built, at least as far as I can tell anyway, except for the operating system. But the internals I'm pretty sure have been untouched since this computer was built. So this is a good example for those of you who are looking to build a era correct machine. This is a good example to see what was put into these computers back then. I also installed some thumb screws on the side of the case to make it easier to get the door off. And again you can see just how clean this case is. It's amazing how well preserved this is. The person that owned this really took care of it. I'm very impressed. On the inside of the door here you can see that there's a diagram of the motherboard placed on the side of it, which again is handy. It's a nice touch there. And these motherboards back then, the Intel boards used to come with these stickers that you could plaster to the insides of your case there. And it's something that a lot of motherboard manufacturers, they didn't do that. It seemed like only Intel did that, from what I've seen anyway. Speaking of the motherboard, you can see the first clue here. This apparently is a 820 chipset board. This thing has a Seagate 20 gigabyte hard drive installed in it, floppy drive. And of course this DVD and the CD-ROM there. We've got what I'm guessing is the original power supply. It doesn't look to me like the wattage rating is present or visible. It's under here. But this is an Intel OEM board that was installed in this computer. Got one tiny little LED down there. It's got a Sound Blaster 128 PCI card installed. You'll notice there's no ISO slots on this board. And the PCM-CIA to PCI adapter there, which houses the Dell Wi-Fi card. It's the 802.11b card. And we've got a modem and an Ethernet card there. And it's a Linksys Ethernet card. And then we've got a Diamond Viper V770. Not the Ultra version, but it is the V770. Which is a nice card. Again, error correct. I would have popped for the Ultra. In fact, I did back then. About this time, you would have also seen the GeForce 256 just come out. That would have been the high-end card at the time. This would have been kind of more of the low to mid-range budget card. You see the capacitors are in good condition, at least physically, visually speaking. You can see this interesting bracketry here. One is white and one is black. I guess they were going for a non-racist theme there. Oh boy, that's interesting. I guess I don't know why they're not. Well, I guess that's, you know, I guess maybe that's gray. But okay, we got one gray one and one black one. Okay. And we got a Pentium III 600, 512 cache, 100 megahertz bus, 2.5 volts. This is one of the earlier ones. This is not the Coppermine. This is the one that still has the level 2 cache on card and not on die. It's the original Intel OEM heatsink, so that was most likely an Intel OEM retail. I don't know if they put those on the OEMs or not. I know those were in the retail, but they probably put it on the OEM as well. It's probably just cheaper for the OEMs to do that. And this has the 820 Intel 820 chipset, which is an SD-RAM chipset. You can see this board has the Intel 820 chipset on it, which was regarded as a pretty pathetic chipset back then. And compared to the BX, it was not very well received. And we've got the only upgrade that may have been done to this computer was the RAM. It's got 192 meg of RAM in it, and it could have come with that. So I'm not really sure. It's kind of buried underneath the IDE cable here and floppy cable, which are zip tied together. So given the fact that that cable, floppy cable, goes over the RAM and the IDE cables go on the other side of the RAM, makes me think that that RAM is probably original to the system. So, I haven't actually looked at it, but I'm sure it's PC 100. One stick is going to be 128 meg and the other one's going to be 64 meg, giving a total of 192 megabytes of RAM. And clock battery is still good too. It holds its time just fine, and date and settings and all that fun stuff. After all these years, it still works just fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a look at the operating system that's installed on this computer. And no, it's not Windows 98. It's not Millennium. It's not even Windows 2000. No, it's not Linux. This computer also arrived with a Microsoft Internet keyboard, something I personally have not seen for a while. You can see it's also in fairly excellent condition. It's got a little bit of grime in between the keys there, but it's not yellowed. It's fairly clean actually for being a white keyboard. And it also had this optical PS2 mouse here, which nicely enough fits the rest of the system. It's kind of a grayish white mouse with a blue bottom there. Look at that. I don't have this plugged up right now, but it does work. It works just fine. Interesting click sound there from that. So let's go ahead and have a look at the operating system now. Wiggle the mouse here. Yes, that's right, folks. Windows XP is on this Pentium III 600. And just judging from the dates when some of these programs were last used, some of the games on here anyway, it looks like this computer was last used in about 2014. Was the latest one I could find. It's 2013, yeah, 2014. So it was used fairly recently. I don't know why this says 3716, because I must have clicked on that accidentally at some point. I've had this computer at work for a few months now, so I've kind of messed with it on and off, but yeah, I don't know. I need to uninstall. Actually, this is going to get blown away and have Windows 98 put on it. But there's nothing on this computer. I mean, there's nothing personal as far as addresses and information and people's. There's one name, there's Heidi documents. That's all it's on here. There's nothing. I'm not going to go into these, but you can see these were done about 2009 or so. And they did LimeWire, which doesn't have anything under it. So I don't know if that just got installed or if it just got deleted. I don't know. Just some little background pictures there, you know, nothing special. This computer really didn't get used much since XP was installed anyway, I should say. And it looks to me, if we take a look at the system volume information folder here, 2008 was when this load of Windows was put on here. So I don't know what was on it prior to that. It could have been Windows 2000, although there's no COA for 2000. It's got a Windows XP COA on the side of it. So it might have, I'm guessing the machine should have been a Windows 98. It might have been a Windows Millennium. It could have been a Windows 2000. But I'm guessing 98 or Millennium at this point. I don't see anything on here to indicate that it was upgraded. This looks like it was a fresh reinstall, so if it was upgraded, the evidence of that would probably have been wiped out if the person had formatted this drive. And you can see all these Windows updates date back to 2008 when they were done. So yeah, so there's a little bit of history there. The thing you might notice about this computer is it's really snappy in Windows XP. I can move around here just fine without any kind of problems. For having 192 megabytes of RAM and a 600 megahertz Pentium III and an old 20 gig hard drive, this thing's actually really good. I mean, I know more newer computers, modern computers that ran XP that are slower than this. I know quite a few Pentium 4 machines that this thing would blow away, actually, in terms of moving around in Windows. Let's take a look at the device manager here. See the Dell True Mobile 1150 series wireless LAN card. That's that PCM CIA card on the back, and that will be coming out because this computer doesn't need that. I've got a Dell laptop that would go nicely with. And the sound card is actually a Sound Blaster PCI 512, so I was wrong about that. I thought that was a 128, but anyway, it's a PCI 512 actually. And we've got a generic Windows NVIDIA Reboot TNT2 driver installed. So there's not really a whole lot to see on here. It's pretty basic. It's a Memorex, it's a Memorex CD-RW and a Pioneer DVD drive. And processors, it just says processor under there. Guess it doesn't know what a Pentium 3 processor is, but okay. Texas Instruments PCM CIA controller, card bus controller. Yeah. That'll actually come in handy for something, I'm sure. But yeah, this guy's running Windows XP, believe it or not, and was used apparently up until just a couple years ago, actually. So it's impressive. You know, this vintage hardware, it holds up really nicely. I mean, this is impressive. It's well taken care of and well broken in, I think. Seems to work just fine. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's not the most entertaining thing in the world, but at least you get to see a era-correct vintage Pentium 3 system here. And maybe this will give you an idea if you're looking to build one of these, what kind of hardware to choose for it. I would not choose the 820 unless you want to just be strange. And strange is not a bad thing. Everyone goes for BX, 815 EPs, occasionally a VIA. So hey, why not go with an 820, right? Be different. Because I don't think a few frames per second in a game really matters nowadays. It's going to do pretty good anyway. Take care, everyone. Peace out.